What's up, guys? My name is Jhana and I'm the
All these SMA gurus don't talk about
100+ agency owners. There's a badge of honor built around the hustle.
How did you actually learn this shit?
I am the strange entrepreneur that actually went to college. What's up, guys? My name is Jhana and I'm the ops bitch.
So obviously we have my business partner Matt Shields here, and Jhana has helped us a lot throughout the years when it comes to automating an agency, operating an agency, building a team, leadership, all of the stuff that all these SMA gurus don't talk about. And I think there's a big void in the space, which is why we want to just have this conversation about ops, leadership, and how to really automate an agency so that you can achieve what most people get in the agency space to achieve. Not dealing with all the BS like disputes, client fires, babysitting a team. How can you actually build a business that you can be proud of and a business that services your lifestyle, not the other way around?
Let's do this because I can answer both questions at once. Guys, I got my start becoming the COO for a multi-7-figure agency called Atlas Digital. It was run by two guys. I stepped in for what was supposed to be a 30-day stint to fill in for an account manager, and I eventually became that agency's COO. That launched me down the path of operations, entrepreneurship, agencies, learning everything just by doing it, reading a shitload of books, learning from mentors, the way we all do it. I went on to become the COO for Joel Kaplan over at Agency Lab. And more important than that, I was able to be the head operations coach in his community that had 500+ agency owners, all trying to scale up, all trying to achieve, yes, financial success, but also personal freedom. And I got to really closely work with and study the 5% of that cohort that actually achieved both and really break down why did they do it, how did they make that happen, and what are the common pitfalls and characteristics that trap 90 to 95% of agency owners and digital entrepreneurs in general in their business, even if they're achieving wild financial success.
So on that note, what are the common pitfalls?
Yeah.
What are the things that most people fall into?
Yeah. So the important piece of context when I was that very first COO for that agency, I was also living in a converted Sprinter van. I was traveling through North and South America full time with the CEO, who was my boyfriend at the time, of that agency. And so from the beginning, I didn't even realize there was a way of scaling a business that was reliant on an 80 to 100-hour work week from its CEO. We were driving around, we were exploring, we were paragliding, we weren't working. Wow. And so from the very beginning, I was introduced to business through the lens of how do I make this run without hyperdependency on either the CEO or COO of that business. And so to answer your question of why do most agency owners get trapped? Why do most entrepreneurs get trapped? It's because they put freedom as the lower priority compared to financial success. But what's brilliant about entrepreneurs, fucking love you guys, is that you're incredible creative problem solvers. And so if you give yourself 100 hours a work week to build your agency, you're gonna take 100 hours and you're gonna make it happen with 100 hours. If you give yourself 40 hours, you will still make it happen. You will still figure it out because you're forcing your own creative problem solving to tackle a new problem, which is how do I achieve success with less of my time? But I don't see agency owners prioritize freedom to the extent that they are unwilling to budge on it from day one. They are willing to learn how to build a business around themselves that offers themselves freedom. And because they never force that constraint on themselves, they never learn the set of skills and tactics that it takes to actually achieve personal freedom from the beginning, as opposed to waiting for some magical hypothetical someday that never actually happens.
So you said something that's super interesting. You said people choose freedom over financial success. Number one, it's an option, or number two, how to do it?
I think there's two pieces. There's certainly the belief component that says if you look at all of the thought leaders and the gurus, right, it's not just the individual. You're hearing from everyone, hustle, grind, put in 100-hour weeks. It's the only way to achieve success. You have to be willing to sacrifice everything else in your life to build your business. There's just not anybody out there saying, actually, you can do both of these things. You just have to learn a different set of skills in a different order in order to make that happen. So I think that's the first piece of it. I think the second piece is there's really a badge of honor built in. We were talking about this on our podcast episode. There's a badge of honor built around the hustle and the grind. There's a badge of honor and identity that comes from being needed, being the problem solver, being the firefighter and the hero of your own business. And so these are the things that don't scale, right? Like if you have to be wanted and needed every single day in your business for it to be successful, then you will show up and be wanted and needed. And why would you ever evolve your agency past that point if like deeply, psychologically, that's what you crave? So when we talk about, what does it actually mean to prioritize and put freedom first? It's a different set of identity. It's a different set of beliefs. It's different skill sets. It's different priorities.
Different goal too, right?
100%. It starts from a different definition of success, right? I think most agency owners or entrepreneurs in general believe if I just hustle or grind hard enough for long enough, then someday things will be different and I will have the freedom that I desired, but it's my lowest priority, and so I'm willing to push it off the longest. Where that movie actually ends is the things that trap them in their business only magnify and compound as their business scales. They are never further away from their freedom. They burn out, they exit prematurely for a lower valuation, or they just quit. They just burn the thing down and they go and they start something new, hoping that time it'll be different.
One thing I didn't ask you though, and I am super curious, how did you learn all this? What's your background? Did you study business? Did you hire a great mentor? Like, how did you actually learn this shit?
I am, when it comes to operations and business, entirely self-taught. So most of this, and you find actually the best operators are incredibly intuitive. They're just stepping into that role. They're seeing where things could be better. They're just making some shit up and they're seeing how it goes. I built my coaching program to help accelerate that learning curve because it took me 3, 4, 5 years of really, really disciplined self-study, a couple of lucky breaks, like being able to coach hundreds of businesses and pull data from hundreds of businesses, like pulling back the curtain and showing me what was really going on. I got lucky with a couple of mentors like Layla Hermosi, people who really accelerated my learning curve. But no, I didn't go to business school. I didn't know what entrepreneurship was when I first entered into the agency space.
Would you say any of, especially your childhood, right? The environment and the school, your family, any of that, has that had an impact on where you're at today?
I am so grateful for so many things in my childhood. I am the strange entrepreneur that actually went to college. Fucking loved college. Did pretty well in it. And I think actually I pulled a lot.
You were the type of person I probably copied off of and cheated on. And
100%, dude. Yeah, I was the person that nobody wanted to hang out with because I was the goody two-shoes. Like Hermione Granger is my spirit animal. So, that was me, right? But really what it came down to is I was just good at playing the game. Business, entrepreneurship, it's a different game. So I learned how to play this game, and now I'm pretty good at this game, right? So it's just about winning the game that you're in. And I know people like to shit on school and college and all this stuff. And in general, public education system doesn't work well with the visionary brain. Right. And so those two things don't mesh. To me, that was never the issue. And I'm very grateful for having a really solid education, being able to go to college, use the things that I learned when it comes to critical thinking and communication. I use that shit every day.
So you're very much an autodidact, or however you say it, a self-learner, right? You teach yourself. And I've noticed this about you. You have an encyclopedia of knowledge in your mind. You can just quote books and quote information. And one of the speakers said this earlier, or somebody I was interviewing, or somebody just really high level said, it might have been you. You said, learn how to, I was like, if you're about to die, and you could leave somebody with one piece of advice, your own child, what would you say to them? And you said, it might have been you, it might have been somebody else. Learn how to learn things quickly. Yep. How do you learn things quickly? How do you take in this information, become a self-learner and do it so well?
I will say that learning became my greatest source for overcoming imposter syndrome. Because I am consistently, all of us, if we're growth oriented, are consistently putting ourselves outside the edge of our comfort zone into things we've never done before. And every logical thought in your brain says, you've never done that, you're not good at that, you can't do that, you're not good enough, right? But the counter to that is, every time I have taken on something new in my life, I have learned it fast enough to get good at it when it mattered. So I can step into this unknown situation, and my superpower doesn't have to be knowing everything about the situation. I just have to be able and willing to learn it. Yeah. And so I think when it came to me and how I learned through osmosis. I learned by watching two guys build an agency in the same house, in the same van, 2 feet across the table from me every single day. I watched, I listened, I learned, right? That's what works for me. Books work for me. Mentors work for me. Find what works for you, right? If YouTube channel podcasts are how you get your best information, in the world of the internet, it's not a lack of access to information that there's not a knowledge gap that you can't close. That's not why you're not successful, right? It's about mastering the skills and the habits that allow you to intake the information in the way that works for you so that you can apply it as quickly as possible.
When should, especially the person watching this right now, whether they're starting off or they're already at 100K, when should they start prioritizing operations over sales? Because I think a lot of people think it's either this or that.
Sure.
Right? But I'm really interested. When does that transition occur?
Well, I will say that I have yet to meet the CEO who prioritizes operations over sales. But when should you start introducing it as a priority in your business and as something on your radar? I think about operations this way, guys. If your business is a bucket, every single bucket, every single business has cracks and gaps and holes, right? That is where time and energy and money are just leaking out of your business. Those are the inefficiencies. The higher the water line, the more water that pours into the bucket, the gaps grow bigger, the cracks go bigger. You will start to lose more time, energy, and money as your business grows, and that will actively start to cost you. Like, it's not just a nuisance, it's not just frustrating, it's not just annoying that I have to do these things. It is actively costing me money to be putting my time and energy as a founder towards low value, clean up the mess, pick up the dropped ball activities versus be the CEO that's driving the next wave of growth into my company. When that's happening, it's time to bring in operations, because the ROI of that operator is that by closing the cracks and the gaps in the bucket, the water actually stays in the bucket, and the benefit of all of that is that it's profit. Because it's water that's already in the bucket. It's money that's already in the ecosystem. It was leaking out, and now it is staying in, and it's not costing you anything to become more efficient, right? And so the number one indicator that you're going to see as a founder that it's time to bring in ops is your own time and energy. Do you know that you're spending more time working in your business than working on your business? Do you know that there are things you should be doing, but you don't have the time? Do you know that you're showing up every day just reacting to the needs of your business instead of proactively designing it and growing it? This is the data. These are the indicators that say your time and energy is leaking out of your bucket, and you need to bring in a specialist who can help shore up those weaknesses so you can get back to doing your job.
You just pumped me up so much because, as you know, we just hired this amazing operator, and I'm really excited because I'm like, wow, yeah, we probably have a lot of leakage. I'm curious, for the person listening, as well as our own selfish intent, how do we automate an agency to where the agency does not need us? But I think before we do that, could you give us a definition of operations? I know we talked about it already.
Yeah, 100%. So I define operations as any action within a business required to optimize a company's ROI on its time, energy, money, and human potential. You've got 4 resources that go to work in your business every day. How much are you getting out of those resources? That is the job of operations.
How do you automate an agency? And is that even possible? Can the owner actually completely remove himself, be out of the Slack channel, not have to look at his email or anything for 6 months straight, and the agency is actually growing? I've never seen it before. Is it possible?
Is it possible? Yes. Is it hard? Absolutely. And it's hard because of the word automate. I think most entrepreneurs have this vision of, well, if I just get enough SOPs, if I just get the right systems, if I turn my business into a machine and my team into cogs in the machine and they just run the play perfectly, then I have automated my business. If I do it with AI, then I've automated my business. There's one critical resource that you absolutely leach out of your business when you go for that, and that is critical thinking and innovation. If you're the only brain in your business, then your business can never grow bigger than your brain. And if you take the brain out of the system, the whole thing will slowly stall out and stagnate. So I've seen the perfectly automated agency, it fully fucking combusted and went bankrupt within 3 years because there was nobody innovating on those SOPs. There was nobody bringing fresh ideas into the business. There was no leadership, building culture and building team cohesion. And the whole thing just stalled out and died, right?
So what's like the perfect balance then? Is it maybe having a board of directors and the owners are on the board of directors, and then the executive reports to the board on a quarterly basis, monthly basis, whatever that may be? How can the owner get as removed as possible? What is realistic?
Yeah. Well, you have to figure out how to delegate that critical function. Thinking, innovation, problem solving, right? Creativity. That's something that you can't SOP. There's only one way to bring it into the business, and it's through your team. So you have to become a masterful builder and manager of people, or you need to bring in the leadership team that is able and capable of doing that, right? There's exactly one function that cannot ever be fully delegated to somebody else, and that's visionary. Who is the person that has the vision? Who is the person that decides where this business is going? So even the most business on autopilot has a visionary that's generally the founder. And yeah, you could do it from a board of advisors role where that's all you're doing and you're doing nothing else. Every other role, including CEO, can be delegated out. But at the root, it's who is having the vision for where this business is going, who's making those decisions, and then who is doing the real-time innovation and creative thinking that continues to move a business forward as opposed to just slowly fade away. When you think about an agency on autopilot, what picture comes to your mind?
It's so hard to imagine because I haven't seen anybody do it.
Yeah.
Not properly, not sustainably. I think about that, I think of a sold agency.
Yeah.
You sold it. That's automation. I think getting a CEO in place who has an amazing offer and has actually ran an agency before, that to me seems like the most likely scenario to automate an agency. How I actually think about that is like you're still doing like once a week leadership meeting and you're still in Slack, but like only to talk to 1 to 2 people. And it's almost like you're just coaching a person. It's almost like a coaching dynamic to where they're the client, you're the coach.
Sure.
So that's how I would think about it. But what do you think, Jared?
I think the way most agencies are structured, right, if you look at the typical agency that's even in a position where they can even think about stepping away, I think you're doing $200,000-$300,000 a month revenue. I think at that point, you're going to really struggle finding a CEO, quote unquote, who's going to have making enough money to actually be worth his time. So I think most realistic option is being on the board of directors and, like Matt said, helping on a leadership meeting once a week with the team.
Here's the fundamental paradox that I find with agency owners, or again, I keep saying agency, but this really applies to any digital entrepreneur. The people who get into their business specifically to get out of it, meaning I am starting this company to grow it, scale it, and then leave it as quickly as possible. Their give a damn factor is so low because that's not why they started their business, right? Their why is to get the out of their business. Those are the people that struggle the most to ever actually get out of their business, because the people that are able to successfully scale do so because their give a damn factor is high. And so like it just doesn't make any sense. Why would you get into a thing only to get out of it as quickly as possible? If your whole goal to getting into the game is to leave the game, in my opinion, pick a different game. Pick a game that you actually want to play, because then you will play it better. You will win higher. You will score higher.
To play devil's advocate on that, what if you view it as, like I viewed the agency as a stepping stone to get to play the game I actually want to play, which is software. I needed the funds to be able to fund the software, and then software is a game to get to philanthropy and impact and changing the world. So what about, how would you think about those stepping stones and trying to just follow that path in general effectively?
Totally. I think that's a strategic move, right? That's slightly different because you've got a broader game plan, and this is one strategic move on the board to get to where you're trying to go. That contextualizes your give a damn factor, right? You are showing up and are highly committed to this because you see it strategically as a means to an end, right? Versus I just want to make a bunch of money and then I want to bounce. There's no bigger why. There's no underlying motivator. There's nothing that's going to rally a team around that, right? If we're saying that a business on autopilot can only be done as close as possible through a team, you need to give your team something to give a damn about, right? And so if you are lacking that from the very beginning, you are going to struggle more than anybody else to acquire and retain talent, to stay motivated and in the game when it gets hard, and to see and make the big decisions. Should I continue to scale my agency? Should I exit? Should I build a team? Should I, right? The 1,000 decisions we have to make as business founders. If there's no overarching strategic play, you've got nothing to make that decision against.
How do you make your team care?
The short answer is that you have to get your team to want it as much as you want it. I see a lot of limiting beliefs in founders that say, this is my baby. My team is never going to care as much about my business as I do. Your team doesn't care about your goals as much as you care about your goals. But your team cares about their goals as much as you care about yours. So if you can align your business, your goals, and the growth and performance that you need from them in their role with their life and their career and their goals and what they're trying to create, then they're not showing up for you, because why the fuck would they? They're showing up for themselves. They're giving their best for themselves and what they're trying to build for their own lives.
You've obviously have worked with 30, 40, 7-figure agency owners at this point. What is, and you've met a lot of messy agency owners like Matt and myself, but you've also met a lot of agency owners that just have their shit together. What's the difference and what does that actually look like?
I know that this is classic coming from me, but it really is an understanding of the value of operations. Here's the thing. Well put together business owners could be just as high D visionary chaos energy as the totally disorganized business owner. The only difference is that they've educated themselves about what is operations, why is it important, and they've brought the right person in to be that counterbalance to their visionary energy. So they're not doing anything different than this person over here, other than they're investing in the team, the systems, the infrastructure, because they perceive and understand the value of it. And for this business owner here who's a mess, I get it, dude. Like, if you don't see the value of something, why would you ever put dollars towards it? If you don't see the ROI of that, why would you ever invest? It doesn't make any sense. Don't do it, right? And so these visionaries over here who have that well-oiled machine of a business, who have personal freedom, who have strategic flexibility, who have a high valuation they could exit from one day, they are doing that only because they recognize that there are skill sets other than mine that I need to bring in to make this happen, operations being the biggest one.
My last one is this. How has that impacted you, if at all? How has that helped you, hurt you? In what areas of the business does it impact you?
We were talking a little bit about this. I think that you can perceive anything. This is just mindset in general, right? I can perceive the reality of my life through the lens of opportunity or oppression. I have that choice. I can choose to perceive it in one of these two ways. And so it would be very easy for me to tell you how disadvantaged I am as a minority and as a woman in our space, because we're at an event that's probably easily 15-1 male to female ratio, right? So what does that mean? Do you know how many people would kill to be the only person of their type in a room? It's a blue ocean. You are automatically differentiated. You are automatically stand out. You are automatically different, right? So is there disadvantages to it? Probably. There's probably a bunch of assholes in there who won't pay as much attention to me or who will underestimate the value of my information because I'm a woman and I'm on that stage. But the large majority of that room, I would like to believe, is going to pay even more attention to me because that's who I am and that's how I show up. And so I can focus on the negative side of that, and I'm sure there are negatives to it, or I can choose to own the opportunity and to absolutely milk it, because take what you got and don't be apologetic for it.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you check out Matt's YouTube channel. Make sure you check out Jhana too. If you're looking to scale, automate, operate your agency in a more efficient manner, she is the person to talk to. She genuinely is the ops queen. Until next time, guys. See you in the next video. I'll see you guys in the next one. And make sure you guys select one of these videos that the YouTube algorithm just hand selected for you. See you guys.